Antarctica is considered one of the toughest continents to survive, even for the creatures who are known to survive in these conditions. So most people suggest there is no life beneath the ice. But in reality, there is another world of mystery down there that no one has any idea about. So if you want to learn about these shocking new discoveries, then watch this video until the end. Siberian Ice Maiden. After the excavation of an ancient tomb on the Yukok Plateau in the Altai Mountains near Russia's border with China in 1993, an ice-encased tomb has been discovered. As the archaeologists melted the ice, it became clear that they had discovered a high-status burial. 6 horses in full harnesses surrounded the body, which was buried in a solid larchwood coffin. A young woman lay in the center of the tomb, so well preserved that her tattoos could still be seen. But who was she? And why was her funeral so lavish? She was the Ice Princess of Siberia. The body of the woman had been meticulously embalmed with peat and bark. She was lying on her side as if she were sleeping soundly. The woman was young, and her head was shaved, although she was wearing a wig and a tall hat. She stood 167 centimeters, 5 feet 4 inches tall, and the tribal tattoos depicting animal forms were still visible on her fair skin. Her coffin was made large enough to accommodate the 90 centimeters, 35 inches, tall headdress, which was dressed in a long wool skirt with red and white stripes and white felt stockings. The princess, as she has been dubbed, is believed to belong to the Pazyryk culture. From the 6th to the 3rd centuries BC, this loose confederation of Scythian, nomadic tribes lived in the Altai Mountains, brought together by shared ethnicity and way of life. Their fondness for a life spent on horseback was a major focus of the latter. They are thought to have lived in yurts and herded sheep between summer and winter pastures. Cedar nuts, blackberries, and boiled meat were staples of their diet, as was mare's milk made into cottage cheese. At least 3 months after the death, the embalmed body was buried. However, this was not her final role for her tribe, as traces of chair material found on her skin indicated that her mummified body continued to play a special role even after her death. Revived cell parts from a 28,000-year-old extinct woolly mammoth. Yucca is an ancient woolly mammoth that lived 28,000 years ago, before becoming mummified in northern Siberia's frozen permafrost wastelands. That icy tomb, however, is no longer the end of Yucca's story. The well-preserved remains of the mammoth were discovered in 2010, and scientists in Japan have now reawakened traces of biological activity in this long-extinct beast. By implanting Yucca's cell nuclei into mouse egg cells, the researchers extracted bone marrow and muscle tissue from Yucca's remains. They inserted the least damaged nucleus-like structures they could recover into living mousoocytes, germ cells, in the lab. 88 of these nucleus structures were collected from 273.5 milligrams of mammoth tissue. When some of these nuclei were injected into egg cells, some modified cells showed signs of cellular activity that preceded cell division. Despite the faintness of this limited biological activity, the fact that anything could be observed at all suggests that cell nuclei are, at least partially, sustained even over 28,000 years. According to the researchers, less damaged samples could theoretically allow for the induction of additional nuclear functions, such as DNA replication and transcription. Better technology is also required. Previous similar work by members of the same research team in 2009 did not progress this far, which the scientists attribute in part to technological limitations at the time and the state of the frozen mammoth tissues used. To that end, the researchers believe their new study could provide a new platform to evaluate the biological activities of nuclei in extinct animal species, an incremental step toward possibly seeing Yucca's kind roam one day again. Well-preserved Iron Age arrow discovered in Norway. According to Live Science, an ancient arrow with an iron arrowhead, tightly wrapped sinew, tar, thread, and feather fletching was discovered in a glacier in southern Norway. The arrow is more than 30 inches long and was thought to have been lost by a hunter who had traveled to the mountains in search of reindeer. It's probably the best preserved arrow we found so far. Researchers will try to figure out what kind of wood was used to make the arrow shaft and what species contributed to the feathers and sinews. Still, they will not take samples for radiocarbon dating. Instead, based on comparisons with similar weapons recovered from bogs in Denmark and graves in southern Norway, Pill dated the artifact to between AD 300 and 600. Which of these discoveries shocked you the most? Let us know in the comments section below. This is all for today, but we'll be back with more shocking videos, so subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon so you never miss any new updates from us. See you soon!